You are watching No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel, and these are my views and opinions. Welcome to No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel, and you know what's driving me crazy? We are less than 24 hours until the opening of the polls. Yes, I know. Everybody has been early voting. I know that almost 100 million Americans have voted and the polls have been open. But you know what I mean, the real election day, which is the way it should have been. Everybody voting on the same day. People voting absentee if they're in the military, if they're sick, or they could not be at a polling place on election day. The rest of this is just absurd. You're having drive-through voting. You're having drive-by voting. You're having people registering to vote on the day of the election. It's getting absurd, but we are on the eve of the election. In less than 24 hours, we'll be close to the closing of the polls, and we'll see if we know on election night whether or not we have a new president or if the counting and the lawsuits keep going on. But I'll tell you what keeps going on, and you can bet it will keep going on, and that is the whining. So over the weekend, you may have seen this video. I actually thought it was hilarious. But apparently, something that's hilarious is cause for the FBI to investigate and liberals to whine and moan, and, well, it rhymes with which. Look at this video. All right, so you see that there are all these trucks with Trump flags on them. They're in front of the Biden bus, the Biden convoy. In fact, it's the Trump convoy, and there's one Biden bus. And then there are all these Trump trucks on the side and in behind it, and you saw in front just a minute ago. So they don't like that because apparently they don't like free speech in America anymore. You know, First Amendment for me, but not for thee. That's the way they roll. And not only that, but now they've gotten the FBI to investigate, and they're whining that, oh my God, a Joe Biden rally had to be canceled. Nobody told them to cancel. What? They're that sensitive that you cannot ride in your truck or your vehicle with a Trump flag? This is freedom of movement. You know what? Those people in those trucks pay a lot more taxes probably than most Biden supporters, except for the rich fat cats on Wall Street. And they have every right to drive wherever they want. The Biden people are just upset that they didn't think of doing that to the president. Or that they can't do that to the president because there's no enthusiasm for him. They can't even get people to show up at his rallies, even with Obama there and with celebrities, let alone following a bus. They can't get their people to do this kind of thing. And so instead of saying, oh, wasn't that funny? Maybe it was immature. Maybe we don't like it. Maybe they one-upped us. They thought outside the box and we didn't. Well, you know what? We'll give it to them. Give them that point. Nope. Instead, they're getting the FBI involved. The FBI, there's no crime in America, so you have to investigate people exercising their First Amendment rights, their civil rights, the very first right, the very First Amendment in the Bill of Rights. Really? That's what the FBI is investigating? Nothing was a problem there. Now, there is some footage, and we don't have it because I didn't instruct the producers to get it, where the liberals are saying that a Trump truck rammed another truck. And in fact, that's not what I saw. A truck was trying to move, and a liberal car was trying to block the truck because they had one car that was trying to block this convoy, and it did not work. And you don't do that on a freeway. What are you thinking? So there was that. By the way, they're calling that convention. I watched ABC News's first product in the morning, Good Morning. Rhymes with Riching about how they are intimidating voters and they shouldn't do that and that is outrageous and they are suppressing the vote. Please, if you are suppressed from voting from that, please, President Trump, send out lots of convoys. Trump supporters drive all over the country, which they've been doing. If you are intimidated by other people using and exercising their free speech rights, then you shouldn't be in America. You should go to a dictatorship like Egypt or Saudi Arabia or Iran or one of the S-hole countries from which we accept way too many immigrants, and see how you like it, where you cannot speak your mind. And nobody can put a flag out unless it's the flag of the dictator and the religion in charge. Voter suppression, please, my butt. All right. So then President Trump had a rally. He had many rallies this weekend, and it's just amazing. He had 10 rallies in 2 days. Joe Biden had a few rallies over several days. This guy has the energy of a 90-year-old, and he's, 78? President Trump has the energy of a 24-year-old, and he's 74, a half century older. So during one of his rallies, he said, doctors, they want to make money. They're making money out of the count. And so the more COVID cases that they count, then the more money they make. And so he was derided, as was predictable, throughout the media, saying that, oh my God, the president is lying about doctors, he's dishonoring them. You know what? When in the history of the United States have liberals been on the side of doctors? They never have. They are in the party of trial lawyers. They have made it hard to practice medicine. I know this because my late father was a doctor, and he wouldn't even belong to the American Medical Association because they were very liberal, and of course they've endorsed Joe Biden. Well, and then so did the JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association. They endorsed Joe Biden, but for the most part, doctors are typically conservative. They hate trial lawyers. They hate Democrats because it's one and the same. The Democrats are in the back pocket of trial lawyers. The trial lawyers finance the Democrats. So all of a sudden, all these liberal Democrats love the doctors. Please, after you've destroyed medicine, you've involved Obamacare in the medical profession and made it a mess so that nobody wants to practice medicine anymore. You've made it impossible to treat people, to spend time with them, to do any kind of medical work that is worthwhile and spends the amount of time a patient needs. And now you're on the side of doctors because Dr. Fauci is against President Trump. So here's a fact check. All right, and we have known this. I discussed this on this show months ago. We have known this since basically the beginning of the COVID lockdowns back in March. And this is from USA Today. Fact check, : hospitals get paid more if patients listed as COVID-19, especially if they are on ventilators. All right, and we know this to be true. Hospitals do make money from this, and that's what the president meant. And the media knows this. This is from USA Today. You see my fact check article? USA Today, all right? Not a conservative paper. They have endorsed Joe Biden. Every day there is an article or an op-ed, several articles and an op-ed against the president. So he misspoke, and that's the problem. When he goes off the script, he might change a word, and in this case it was doctors instead of hospitals, and he comes under fire. But everybody knew what he meant. Now, before we go to the break, I just want to mention there is a study that has also been in the media all weekend long, and it says that the Trump rallies this is how it was reported, that the Trump rallies have caused thousands of COVID cases, I think up to 30,000, and they've caused 700 or 800 deaths. Baloney. If you go and look at the study, it says they may have caused those. May. You know what? I may become a billionaire. I may. And I can write a study saying that. Nobody knows where COVID cases come from. We know that contact tracing is an art. It's not a science. They may think 5 people got COVID from a party where 5 people were at that party, and they all may have gotten it from other places they went. Nobody really knows where people got COVID from. This was a politically engineered study to come out the weekend before the last days of the election campaign to work against the president. Nobody knows where people got COVID, and to use the president's rallies as a reason is absurd. Where are the studies of how many COVID cases, Black Lives Matter, riots and marching and looting and burning and shootings have caused? Where are those? I haven't seen them, strangely enough. When we come back, We will talk about Dr. Scott Atlas, the Trump advisor. He had to apologize. And why are your tax dollars funding a 2-hour anti-Trump commercial tonight? I'll give you the details after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
As the mayor of Bismarck, I invite you to join together today and stand united in the fight to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Case counts are steadily on the rise in the Bismarck-Mandan metro area, so please do your part. Protect yourself and others by wearing a mask when you're not at home. During the pandemic response, scientists have determined wearing a mask is a benefit to you and to those around you. This help keeps others from getting sick and may lessen the severity of illness if you are infected with COVID-19. We're all in this together. So let's get kids back to school, preserve our local economy, and keep our community strong. Let's show everyone how we come together to keep Bismarck the safe, resilient community we know and love. For more information, visit health.nd.gov/coronavirus. That's health.nd.gov/coronavirus.
Beck Communications is honored to be recently recognized with 3 Broadband Now awards. Beck Communications Cooperative was awarded in the categories of Top Internet Speeds Nationwide, Top 3 Fastest Internet Providers in North Dakota, and North Dakota's #1 fastest fiber provider. It's only through the support of our members and customers that Beck Fiber delivers award-winning speeds and service. Thank you, Beck Communications Cooperative members and customers, for your years of continued support.
Introducing Accord Comfort Sleep Systems, a better way to sleep. We offer you 5 different models to give you the perfect choice of support and body comfort. Every model begins with our exclusive Accord Comfort Reflex Layer. This ensures proper spinal alignment and a deep down body relief. Our 8-inch Whisper Breeze provides a medium firm feel, and our 10-inch Gentle Night model has a quilted top, giving you a medium plush comfort. Both use Outlast fabric on the top of your mattress, ensuring that your body temperature is not too hot and not too cold. Our Copper Rest Sleep Series is our premier mattress, offering your choice of firm, plush, and luxury plush. Every model uses copper-infused gel latex and provides all the health benefits of copper. Accord Comfort mattresses are handcrafted in the USA and come with a 60-night sleep guarantee. You're going to love sleeping with us. Order today exclusively at accordsleep.com or Tom's Home Furnishings in beautiful downtown Harvey.
Is your business phone system outdated and expensive to maintain? Most large VoIP companies leave you on hold or struggling through online support and training for your employees. With Beck Connect, you always have fast, friendly, local support. Familiar faces with the know-how to keep you connected. Take advantage of the newest technology in voice calling, video conferencing, and virtual meeting rooms. Beck Connect gives you all the features you need with no upfront investment and no obsolete hardware or software ever again. Simplify your communications. Choose local. Choose Beck Connect.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So you may be familiar with Dr. Scott Atlas. Dr. Scott Atlas is the current medical advisor to President Trump on the coronavirus task force. He's the one that actually has some reasonable solutions, unlike the absurd solutions to shut down America that Dr. Anthony Fauci keeps pimping us on. And so Dr. Scott Atlas he is the one that believes in the theory of herd immunity. He is one of the people who is one of the believers and participants in the Greater Barrington document, and he is a very brilliant guy. A lot of what he has said has come true. He is an infectious disease specialist, has maybe even more experience and written more papers than Dr. Fauci on this, and definitely Dr. Deborah Birx. Well, he did an interview over the weekend with a media outlet called RT, which stands for Russia Today. It's essentially an English language media outlet. It operates here in America and in some other Western English-speaking countries. It is funded by the Russian government. Everybody knows this. It's not a secret. It's not some secret Russia collusion, something that you need to have an impeachment over. Of course, if it were the Democrats, you'd have to have an impeachment every time somebody got a paper cut and it bleeded red because, you know, that's the color of Russia. But RT, everyone knows that this is a Russian media outlet. All right? So he did an interview with them. Nothing wrong with his interview. Nothing wrong with the questions. But he had to apologize. Why? Because all the liberals are whining and moaning. Their feelings are hurt. They can't stand this. And so what happened? Well, not only did he have to apologize, but he had to apologize several times. And the liberal media and the liberals and the Joe Biden campaign made a whole big fuss about it. Now, I ask you, have you ever seen anybody make an apology tour, do an apology tour for giving an interview to Al Jazeera? No, you haven't. And you know why you haven't? Because nobody cares that that is the network that helped Islamic terrorists against our troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, that it still cheers Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and that it is funded by the government of Qatar, which is no democracy either. All right? That's who funds Al Jazeera. Nobody makes a fuss. Joe Biden has done interviews on Al Jazeera. Has he apologized? No. A lot of liberals, a lot of people associated with Joe Biden's campaign have done interviews with Al Jazeera. Nobody complained. It's a double standard. And what is the double standard? They don't really care about Russia. They were fans of Russia for decades. They're Marxists. Bernie Sanders had his honeymoon in the Soviet Union, when it was the Soviet Union, all right? They don't care about Russia. What they care about is getting at the president and getting at anybody who makes any sense who is advising him, and that includes especially Dr. Scott Atlas, because they want Joe Biden elected. They also want America locked down. They don't want you working. They want you beholden to and relying upon the government. It's just that simple. All right, and then speaking of another group of whiners, and frankly, they are the Republican Marxists, or former Republicans. That's the Lincoln Project. You probably heard about the Lincoln Project. They've been profiled recently on 60 Minutes and in all the liberal media outlets. They're a group of former Republicans. They're the ones who were the establishment mainstream liberal advisors to all the losers. They worked on the John McCain campaign. They worked on the Mitt Romney campaign. They worked on maybe the Scott Walker campaign. I think there's somebody that was on his campaign. They worked on all the losing campaigns. The Jeb Bush campaign. These were the guys who spent $130 million for, I think Jeb Bush got 3 candidates, or 3 delegates. $130 million they spent on those 3 delegates, all right? That's who these guys are. They're sore and they're angry that President Trump got elected. They had nothing to do with it. They didn't want Trump. None of their loser candidates made it at all. If their loser candidates had been the Republican nominee, they would have lost again. Jeb Bush would have lost to Hillary Clinton. She would be the president right now, running for re-election, and we would have 8 years of her after 8 years of Obama, and our country would be finished, finito. So these people are running anti-Trump ads. Nobody cares about the Lincoln Project except one person, and that is the president. All these liberals love the Lincoln Project because they're basically doing the work of Joe Biden. Now, they claim they're just against Donald Trump, but they're open that they are working for the Democrats to take over the Senate and the House. Now, if you're only against President Trump, why would you campaign for a bunch of Marxists and socialists to take over? How can you say, I'm a conservative? They all claim to be conservatives. They're not. But how can you say, I'm a conservative, but I want the people who are going to foist the Green New Deal upon America to get elected? How can you say that? You cannot. Not with a straight face. Not if you are intellectually honest. And they're not honest. They're dishonest. So now the Lincoln Project is putting itself up for sale. They want to make documentaries. They want Hollywood to invest in them. They have Hollywood investing in them. I know people in Hollywood who've given money to this horrible organization. They are out for money. And if you look at their bottom line, a lot of the money they have raised, they've paid it to themselves. This was their get-rich-quick scheme off of trying to turn America into a Marxist socialist nation forever. And they call themselves conservative. Can you believe this? I can't. All right, now, your tax dollars, I told you this before the break, your tax dollars are paying for a 2-hour campaign commercial for Joe Biden tonight. And it's the second time it's running. Now, what? You're saying you never donated to the Joe Biden campaign? Well, I'll tell you what you did. You were forced to donate to PBS, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. PBS, I call it the Palestinian Broadcasting Service. All right, public broadcasting system. They have this Frontline special, and they are showing it tonight for the second time in prime time. It's called Frontline, the candidates. We investigate the lives of Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And by the way, they've been replaying this on all the digital PBS channels for the last 2 or 3 weeks nonstop. I watched it. It's a trashing, of President Trump. It's a rehash of what they did to him. They used a lot of the same footage when he was running against Hillary. They ran a similar special. Your tax money is financing this. Why? Because when chicken Republicans like Paul Ryan controlled the House, and what's the name of that guy that was always tan? God, I already forgot his name. John Boehner. All right, so when they controlled the House, they refused to defund PBS. That's your tax dollars. This is what happens when Republicrats are in power, establishment Republicans. So they financed this. PBS is getting your tax money to do this 2-hour trashing of Trump and promoting Joe Biden as the second coming. I mean, this guy is beatified over and over again, made like a saint in this thing. It's outrageous. All right, when we come back, Lady Gaga said what and did what for Joe Biden? That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
I just went in for a regular mammogram and I found out that I had a little tumor.
Through the exam and the biopsy, it was determined that I had cancer.
I got a call from one of my doctors that I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
After 5 years, they found a local reoccurrence.
The first thing you hear when you're told you have a cancer, it's a little daunting because you don't know where to go with it.
Since 1999, in a partnership between CHI St. Alexius Health and Sanford Health Bismarck, the Bismarck Cancer Center has provided the most advanced radiation therapies and holistic support services for cancer patients and their loved ones for 20 years.
I've been at the Bismarck Cancer Center since it started. I actually was in the basement of Med Center 1 before, when we had old machines and old equipment. And thankfully, the two hospitals at the time, St. Alexis and Med Center 1, joined forces to create the Bismarck Cancer Center.
I walk in the door, I get nothing but hugs, and I was marveled at them. I mean, I thought it was the best place in the world.
The staff is unbelievably compassionate, and they explain everything to you.
Everybody's genuinely concerned about your well-being, and the level of care is just top-notch. The Cancer Center just does such an amazing job of helping people.
To me and my family, the Cancer Center means life. It's given me the ability to live out my life with my family, my wife, my children, my grandchildren.
Because of them, I'm 2 years out. Get to move on with my life, make a difference now for other people.
I would recommend this center because the minute you walk through that door, they've got your back.
This center means so much to me and to the people that are in this building, and we just want to keep giving it back to the community and providing for them what they need.
I'm Katie. I've been cancer-free for 2 years.
I'm Steve, and I've been cancer-free for 4 years.
I've been cancer-free for 10 years.
10 years.
11 years.
15 years.
My name is Lainey, and I've been cancer-free for 18 years.
Bismarck Cancer Center, your partner against cancer for 20 years.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So Lady Gaga is out on the campaign trail with Joe Biden, as is Barack Obama. Now, do you remember who brought out Barack Obama and Lady Gaga on the campaign trail in the last days to places like Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin? Do you remember who did that? I'll give you a hint. Her name is Hillary Clinton, and she did it in 2016. How'd that work out? Not very good. Well, Barack Obama's a terrible campaigner. In fact, the only time he campaigns for somebody to actually get elected is himself. In fact, I believe he secretly wishes none of these people will get elected so he can reign supreme as the chief Democrat in the country and nobody else can steal his limelight. I truly believe that. He's that narcissistic and egomaniacal. And if you look at everyone he's campaigned for, they all lose. Remember, he went to Florida to campaign against Ron DeSantis in favor of that guy, Rod Gillum, the guy that got caught in the hotel room with a gay prostitute. Remember him? So he campaigned for him. He lost. Rod Gillum lost. Ron DeSantis won. He campaigned for Stacey Abrams to be governor of Georgia against Brian... Now I'm having brain lock. I can't remember his last name, but the fabulous governor of Georgia, Governor Brian. So he campaigned for Stacey Abrams, and guess what happened? Stacey Abrams lost. She's still claiming she won on no basis, and she's claiming voter suppression with no basis, but Barack Obama campaigned for her, and so did Oprah. She lost. He campaigned for Hillary repeatedly in the last days of the election. She lost. And when you think about it, if Joe Biden cannot win campaigning on his own, and he needs people like Barack Obama and Lady Gaga to campaign for him, he ain't got nothing. You know what? President Trump is only bringing out his family members. He doesn't have these kinds of celebrities coming on the road with him, and I'm glad. You know what? Let the Democrats keep reminding us that they stand with and for celebrities, elitist, rich celebrities who are not in touch with reality, while millions of Americans are out of jobs right now and hurting, whose businesses have shuttered. These people are living in the laps of luxury and Instagramming about it and tweeting about it. And also he's campaigning with John Legend, who, by the way, is not called John Legend. His real legal name is John Roger Stevens. He's a legend in his own mind, and he's not going to change any votes. So I want you to take a look at this video that Lady Gaga tweeted out today.
Hey, this is Lady Gaga. I'm voting for America, which means I'm voting for Joe Biden. And if you live in Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Florida, or Arizona, I encourage you to vote. And if you have a friend that lives there, tell them to vote. I'm gonna be in one of these states tomorrow. Guess which one I'll be in? Hint, I used to live there. Cheers to the 2020 election.
So I'm not sure what she's trying to do there. Is she trying to reach out to middle America? Or what I believe she's actually trying to do, mock middle America. You see her, she's got a truck behind her. You know she's not driving a truck. She's dressed in camo. You know she's not a hunter. She doesn't like the military too much. She's never gone overseas to entertain our troops, all right? She does not have an affinity for our armed services. She doesn't. She does not care about the sacrifices they make. She's got those ridiculous boots on. And then she takes a beer and takes one sip and then crushes it and throws it out. You know, there are a lot of people hurting right now. They wish they could afford a beer and just throw it out like that and be wasteful like she is. I don't know. I believe she's trying to mock people who are good old boys, people who are middle Americans. And if that's an attempt to reach out to them, it ain't gonna work. Nobody saw that video who hasn't voted already. And it said, wow, that's it. It's cinched. The all-important Lady Gaga endorsement, I am going to vote for Joe Biden. Nobody saw that and said that. Nobody. Sorry. I'd like to meet that person. That person does not exist. So another person who's very self-important about the elections is LeBron James. He also thinks that he can influence people. Not only does he think he can't, he's already taking credit before the election has even happened. Now, we told you about his organization that he and Michelle Obama were teaming up. They wanted to influence people to get out and vote. And I also told you, I think last week, about his fact check organization, that he wants to be the new fact check, which I don't know, if for Black America, because apparently they need LeBron to tell them what's right and wrong. He thinks they're too stupid to decide and think for themselves. So he has now said that he is going to claim credit because when Joe Biden wins, that's him talking, because I don't believe that's going to happen. I'm not sure. I think it's going to be close. I think President Trump can pull it out. But he says that he could take credit for turning out the black voter in Ohio, for turning the black voter out in Pennsylvania and Philly, in other places where there are a large amount of black voters. He thinks that it's because of him. Are you serious? Come on, LeBron. I mean, this guy's head is so big, and you know why it is? Because all the media gushes over him. Nobody ever gives him a tough question. Nobody ever does anything to him. When he cheers on the Chi-Coms, when they are arresting and beating up peaceful protesters in Hong Kong, nothing happens to him. Nothing. In fact, the NBA general manager who tweeted "Free Hong Kong" gets attacked by him. And that person has to apologize, not LeBron. That's how it works, folks. So there are a number of court cases that have been decided in the last few days, and also a number of incidents where ballots have been found missing or they've been stolen, but there's no voter fraud. Move along. Nothing to see here. So the first thing I want to mention is Texas. Texas had drive-through voting, all right? Have you ever been to McDonald's drive-through voting? This is like McDonald's, where one day you say, I think I'm going to have a Big Mac and maybe some fries. And then the next day you say, no, I changed my mind. The Big Mac and the fries, they're fattening. They're not so healthy. I think I'm going to get a salad. That's how you want people voting? People who can't decide between a Big Mac and fries and a salad, and they get a different choice every day, depending on what mood they're in. That's how you want people voting? You want to make it that easy and carefree? I'm sorry, but voting has to mean something. If you're having drive-by voting, which is essentially what this drive-through voting is, people give it barely a thought, they drive up, they vote like getting a Coke. No, I don't like that. That is not what America's about. And so the Republicans sued about that, but unfortunately, the Texas Supreme Court said that these ballots, 127,000 of them, cast, by the way, in a very liberal county, Harris County, that they have to be counted. Now, this is why Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation was so important, because this lawsuit is probably going to be appealed up to the U.S. Supreme Court. And she's going to be the tie vote. I'll bet you anything. This case is going to go forward. 127,000 ballots, that can decide an election if, as they're saying, Texas is as close as they claim. I'm not so sure it is. I think Texas is still a red state. Maybe things have changed. Maybe it's not as red as it used to be, but it's still a red state. I believe that anyway. Now, with regard to some of the other cases, check this out. So there were undelivered ballots found in Pennsylvania. They found 4 dozen mail-in ballots undelivered at a post office in Florida. The U.S. Postal Service office investigators said Saturday that they found 6 completed ballots and 42 blank ballots among piles of undelivered mail in a post office near Homestead on the Florida. It's Florida. I'm sorry, not Pennsylvania, but on the Florida Peninsula southern tip. Video taken by a postal worker shows they had been sitting there for more than a week. 18 of the affected voters have already cast ballots. So that's 18. What about the other 24? if my math is correct. What about that? And then here are the Pennsylvania ballots. So officials in Butler County, Pennsylvania are scrambling to get mail ballots to potentially thousands of voters who requested them and did not receive them. So thousands, it's nearly 40,000 registered voters that have requested mail ballots. 40,000, that is a lot. This is why we shouldn't have mail-in voting, at least not this year. We shouldn't have had it. We're not ready. You don't have the election before you've had a dress rehearsal. We should have had years and years of dress rehearsals of this, and we didn't do it. And that's what happens is you're going to have disasters like this. We're going to have lots of lawsuits. This is going to be a major cluster bleep. When we come back, we will talk some North Dakota stories. We'll talk Sean Connery. And we will talk the last few things that I wanted to say about the election. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Bismarck Central, 4800.
4800, go ahead.
Requesting social services on-call team.
Stand by. 4800 social services requesting additional information.
You can advise social services that we have an 18-month-old female who was in a residence with a mother, now being transported to medical care for overdose.
Trusting your digital life to faceless tech giants can be risky. Will they keep your family and business information truly safe from prying eyes? If you subscribe to local Beck Lightband Internet service, you already have Beck Cloud Backup. Beck Cloud Backup is the safest, most private cloud storage for all your family memories, schoolwork, and business documents. Call 701-475-2361 to start using your free space on Beck Cloud Backup today.
You just might find the home of your dreams this weekend by watching the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes Sundays at 6 p.m. and Wednesdays at 7 on Beck, featuring properties from Bismarck, Mandan, Minot, and surrounding areas. The Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes presents desirable properties that are for sale, lets you meet your Alliance realtors, and provides critical insights into local happenings from community and business leaders. Join us this Sunday evening at 6 or Wednesday at 7 for the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes on Beck.
Today's households have more digital devices than ever before. More links to family, business, education, and entertainment. Beck Communications spent over 10 years building North Dakota's fastest fiber optic internet service. Beck Lightband Internet, outpacing speeds in large cities nationwide. Lightband Internet handles all your digital needs without throttling your connection to the world. Beck Communications, valuable digital connections in rural North Dakota.
As the mayor of Bismarck, I invite you to join together to get our kids back to school, preserve our local economy, and keep Bismarck safe, strong, and resilient. A community task force has been launched to slow the spread of COVID-19 in our community. We're all in this together. Protect yourself and others by doing your part. Wear a mask when you're out and about, and slow the spread of COVID-19. For more information, visit health.nd.gov/coronavirus.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. What I find incredibly ironic is that we keep hearing allegations and accusations about alleged voter suppression, and yet we see that we are breaking records all over the country. Nearly 100 million Americans have voted already. So, and most of them, by the way, Democrats. So if there's voter suppression, What isn't voter suppression? You got nearly 100 million people, almost a third of the American population. And if you count the eligible Americans who can vote and are registered to vote, it's even a much greater percentage. How the heck is that voter suppression? In fact, it's the exact opposite of suppression. It's voter inflation. We have made way too many people voting who don't know anything, who don't know what they're talking about, who really, as far as I'm concerned, should not be voting. And tomorrow, many companies, whether it's DSW, Designer Shoe Warehouse, or Sally Beauty Supply, place I don't like, or some of these restaurants that are national chains, Foot Locker and so on, they are letting their employees leave to go vote. And some of them are paying their employees to go vote and then to work the polls. So why are they doing that? Do you think people who work at Foot Locker or DSW are likely Trump voters? I'll give you a hint. No, they're not. This is all about not voter suppression, but enabling and doing anything possible, cheating, frankly, to get Joe Biden elected, period. And yet, despite all that, we're hearing whining now. This is from the cover today of USA Today. Obstacles keeping students from polls. So college students are whining, even though they too have now already voted in a much higher percentage than they've ever voted before. They're whining because why? They have to have an ID to vote. Hello? Have they ever flown? Guess what you have to show when you go through the TSA checkpoint? A driver's license, an ID. So they're whining that it's very difficult and that they have to have ID and it's very tough and they have to get to the polling place and there's obstacles. Oh my God, it's so hard. Oh my God. Please, are you serious? Voting is easy. We've made it far too easy, like I said, so that a lot of idiots are voting. It is idiot-proof, unfortunately. When I was in college, I drove 45 minutes each way to go vote at home. All right, stop whining. This is absurd, these people. And now, the Electoral College. Now they want to get rid of that. I'll tell you what's going to happen. Colorado is eyeing getting rid of the Electoral College. We know that there are flukes in Nebraska and California with regard to the Electoral College. You know what's going to happen? If all these states say we're not for the Electoral College, or the Democrats win all the houses and they get rid of the Electoral College, only New York and California are going to decide elections. Candidates are going to go to New York, California, Florida, maybe Pennsylvania and Texas. And you know where they're never going to go? North Dakota. You know where they're never going to go? Nebraska. You know where they're never going to go? South Dakota. You will not see a president coming to Mount Rushmore. They are never going to go to the vast majority of American states anymore on campaigns. You get rid of the Electoral College, you might as well say goodbye to ever seeing a president, to ever having any influence on the policy of the president. We have a lot of influence in North Dakota because the president needs our electoral votes. You know, he may not visit North Dakota much because North Dakota is reliably Republican. But guess what? We get visits. And we won't get any visits of anybody if they get rid of that Electoral College. Barely anybody will. They're stupid. I mean, that's just idiocy. Now, over the weekend, Sean Connery, Sir Sean Connery, some people say he's the best James Bond actor ever. You're going to think I'm nuts. Everyone does when I say this, but George Lazenby, that was my favorite. He was only in one Bond movie on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Sean Connery was in Bond first, but he walked away. I guess he said, oh, this James Bond thing, it's never going to be big. It's never going to be a thing. And George Lazenby did the same thing. And James Bond, Sean Connery, came back. So he's my second favorite. I guess he's kind of tied in my head with George Lazenby. But what a suave and debonair guy. I actually remember him most, even though I love James Bond and I used to watch him in that, I remember him most for this video, The Chicago Way and The Untouchables.
Do you want to do that? Way with any and all. Well, the Lord hates a coward. Do you know what a blood oath is, Mr. Ness? Yes. Good, because you just took one.
All right, so that is how you treat terrorists. They come at you with a knife, you come at them with a gun. That's how we should have acted, by the way, after 9/11. That's how we should have acted when we were attacked by terrorists in Beirut who blew up our Marines. I wish a lot of our military leaders and our presidents had watched The Untouchables. Now, we are at the break, but when we come back, I want you to see a video, a short video that he made with Barbara Walters, because he is under fire for that. And we'll talk some North Dakota stories, that and more, after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
He once won a spelling bee in an ancient language that he did not speak. He is the only man to ever earn extra credit on an IQ exam. His academic degrees are considered legitimate spending currency in 22 nations, 2 principalities, and at Chick-fil-A restaurants in the United States and Western Canada.
I do not always engage with education programming, but when I do, it is the Dr. Duke Show.
Stay educated with the Dr. Duke Show, weekdays at 4 p.m. on Beck News.
Introducing Accord Comfort Sleep Systems, a better way to sleep. We offer you 5 different models to give you the perfect choice of support and body comfort. Every model begins with our exclusive Accord Comfort Reflex Layer. This ensures proper spinal alignment and a deep down body relief. Our 8-inch Whisper Breeze provides a medium firm feel, and our 10-inch Gentle Night model has a quilted top, giving you a medium plush comfort. Both use Outlast fabric on the top of your mattress, ensuring that your body temperature is not too hot and not too cold. Our Copper Rest Sleep Series is our premier mattress, offering your choice of firm, plush, and luxury plush. Every model uses copper-infused gel latex and provides all the health benefits of copper. Accord Comfort mattresses are handcrafted in the USA and come with a 60-night sleep guarantee. You're going to love sleeping with us. Order today exclusively at accordsleep.com or Tom's Home Furnishings in beautiful downtown Harvey.
You're looking for secure private cloud storage, but who can you trust? Big tech companies don't always keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business information away from prying eyes. Your local Beck Lightband Internet Services comes with 50 gigs of Beck Cloud Backup free. Hometown service with top-tier security to keep your data truly safe and private. Get your 50 gigs free today. Call 701-475-2361 and ask about Beck Cloud Backup.
My name is Rich Shook, and I lost my best friend in a grain bin accident.
Some of the emotional scars that when these incidences happen just resonates throughout the community like dropping a rock in a pond. I guess I'll never forget. At least the last moments we shared. That's why I think this is so important to get out there to people, is people think that it can't happen to you, and it can. The time it would take you to just kiss a loved one, and your life is over. I believe it's unacceptable.
This message provided by North Dakota Farmers Union.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So before the break, we were talking about Mr. James Bond, Sir Sean Connery, but he has come under fire for this interview he gave with Barbara Walters. Check this out.
I know Sean Connery regrets this conversation.
Okay, you did an interview in which you said, it's not the worst thing to slap a woman now and then. As I remember, you said you don't do it with a clenched fist, it's better to do it with an open hand. Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I didn't love that.
I haven't changed my opinion.
You haven't?
No, not at all.
You think it's good to slap a woman?
No, I don't think it's good.
You don't think it's bad?
I don't think it's that bad. I think that it depends entirely on the circumstances and if it merits it. Yeah.
What would merit it?
Well, if you have tried everything else, and women are pretty good at this, they can't leave it alone. They want to have the last word, and you give them the last word, but they're not happy with the last word. They want to say it again and get into a really provocative situation. Then I think it's absolutely right.
By the way, Sean Connery has been married to Micheline for 31 years, and we have not heard a single.
So Sean Connery was married to his second wife for 45 years. If she had any complaints about the way he treated her, she would have, I think, said so, and that's not the tribute she made to him over the weekend. He would have been canceled over those comments today. They tried to cancel him when he made those comments. Now, I'm not defending violence against women, so don't send mail. But here's what I am saying. We tolerate people around the world who promote this kind of thing per their religion, Islam. That it's okay to hit women, that it's not a big deal. We have seen a lot of Islamic leaders make statements like this, and we're told we should butt out and we should just be more tolerant and understanding. But when it's James Bond, it's an actor, it's Sean Connery, then we should not be so tolerant. You know, there's a double standard, and I think we should be looking at him for his acting. Again, I'm not tolerating violence against women, but listen, he did not do what we have seen people do to women, and they've gotten away with it. We saw the whole Hollywood left defending Harvey Weinstein for decades doing this kind of thing. You know, this is the human nature of the left, and they didn't care. But Sean Connery, let's attack him. So I didn't really care for that. Now, speaking of jihadists, today in Austria, there was an attack on a synagogue, and 7 people were murdered. And in the footage, you can hear the shooter yelling, Allahu Akbar, which means our God is the greater than yours. That's what it means. It doesn't mean God is the greatest. It means their God, Allah, is the greatest, greater than yours. And they shout that when they murder people. We've been watching what's going on in France, where Christians have been beheaded. A Christian teacher was beheaded by his Muslim students because he showed cartoons, and he defended the cartoons in the magazine Charlie Hebdo, all right? And he was beheaded by his own students, these barbers, and by his Muslim students. And then we saw Muslims beheading Christians in churches. And now we see these attacks on synagogues. So I say, if you want more of that coming to America, vote for Joe Biden. You know why? Because he wants unlimited immigration. There's one person that's against it, and it's President Trump. Now, on to North Dakota. So I think this is an interesting story. We all know about these protesters at the Dakota Access Pipeline. They, for months, trashed North Dakota. They left garbage all over. They left food. They left wrappers. They left trash. They left condoms. They defecated and urinated all over. They were animals. They were pigs. They are animals and pigs. And they made a mess of North Dakota. It cost North Dakota millions of dollars. They didn't go through the proper permitting process. The Army Corps of Engineers should have kicked them out and didn't. So one of these protesters, Sophia Wilansky, she sued. She's a New York City woman. Now, what the heck is a New York City woman doing in North Dakota? Mind your own business and stay home. So she was there, and I guarantee you, if they came up here during COVID, nobody would say, where's your mask, or you're not social distancing. They would not have cared. So she sued. She had a defamation lawsuit against law enforcement because they made public statements against her. Now, what were the public statements? Well, she was injured. There was an explosion because she was not careful. And there was a concussion grenade thrown by officers. These people were rioters. If you like what was going on with the Black Lives Matter, their riots, you would love what the Dakota Access Pipeline protesters were doing. So she sued, and she lost, all right? And Thursday, Judge Daniel Traynor dismissed in a 54-page ruling her claims of defamation against the police officers. She didn't get anything for that. She didn't get anything for her millions of dollars that she's apparently still seeking, and those parts of the lawsuit are still pending for excessive force, assault, negligence, and emotional distress. I would bet probably North Dakota, unfortunately, ends up settling with this woman. It's just too bad. Don't come to North Dakota. Nothing would have happened to you if you were in the comfort of your home in New York. We don't need you here. So there was that. All right? Now, there's news today, and this is great news, that Midwestern states with very few virus rules like mask mandates, which we really don't have in North Dakota, unless you're talking about the Indian tribes, which are sovereign nations, that they have lower unemployment. In fact, they have low unemployment. And this article talked about South Dakota and North Dakota. So Nebraska leads the nation with 3.5% unemployment, followed by South Dakota, Vermont, and North Dakota. We are number 4. And why? Because we have very few mask mandates. We have very few virus rules. We didn't shut down completely our whole economy. And you know what? When that happens, businesses thrive. And if you want more of that, keep electing Republicans. Vote for the president. Joe Biden wants to lock the country down. He said so. He said also that he would have a national mask mandate. If you like lockdowns, if you like mask mandates, if you like depending on government for your survival, Joe Biden's the candidate for you. For everybody else, no. And remember, things are not always as they seem. See you tomorrow. Happy Election Day. Go vote.